Okay, I'm not going to explain the Brown versus Board of Education case. That summary I gave was basically the whole thing. He just wanted non-segregation in school so that they wouldn't be like unequal, and one side would have a lot more than the other. All right. Prior to the Voting Rights Act of 1965, literary tests were used by some southern states to B. Prevent African Americans from exercising their right to vote. Literacy tests were basically super overqualified and unnecessarily complicated, and those tests were basically blatantly a legal way to get black people not to be able to vote. Uh, it's basically like some tests today, except it's not even done on purpose. It's just unnecessarily complicated, and you don't really understand stuff or uh, all that. All right, hold up. Oh, forget it. All right, the practice whereby individual senators can veto federal judicial nominations in their respective states is called. Okay, individual senators, just like individual senators, particular senators. So a whole bunch of senators, senator. Individual senators. That's real. Like that's not even a complicated term. I don't need to explain that. Individual senators can veto federal judicial nominations. So veto means like block, veto, block, block, block. So if everybody's saying, I want this idea, I want this idea, I want this idea. If you veto something, then it won't. It, you're going to be like, I vote for that not to be allowed. So veto, vote to not be allowed, vote to not be allowed, vote to not be allowed. Federal judicial nominations. So remember, the feds is like the main Washington government. There's the Washington government, the state that controls the whole state, and local like counties that control the county. So federal judicial nominations. So when the Washington D.C. or something is selecting like your judges or selecting like any of your judges like for your big old state or any of your local counties, um, a senator from that county can like veto it. So like literally, like the main Washington D.C. government can be like, all right, Dakota, you can't do this. Dakota, no. Oh, all right, Washington D.C. Dakota, I want Bob A. to be judge in Boundsworth County. So Bob A. be judge, be judge, be judge. But the state, instead of the Washington having more power, the particular senator, the senator in their state. So sometimes senators have more power than judicial, than sometimes they have more power than the Washington. Sometimes senators have more power than Washington. Sometimes senators have more power than Washington. If it's in their particular state, on some cases they could be like, nah, we don't want that person to be our leader. We want somebody like particularly from our state to be the leader and all that. So they can do that. Oh, crap. And that whole process is called senatorial courtesy. And the actual, so senatorial courtesy, senatorial courtesy, senatorial courtesy. When a state governor can actually say, all right, big boss in Washington, no, I'm from the state and I have like power over you concerning this. And if they're not particularly from my state, then I don't want them to be the judge or whatever. Okay, real quick, I gotta look that up. So you can see the actual like definition and not just the layman's terms. All right, senatorial courtesy is a long-standing, unwritten, unofficial, and non-binding political custom in the United States describing the tendency of U.S. senators to support a Senate colleague in opposing the appointment to federal office of a presidential nominee from the senator's state. All right, so long-standing, unwritten, unofficial, blah 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 blah. Basically, it's like if a whole bunch of people are talking, it's like that one unwritten rule that like everybody like is like knows like all right, people are naturally going to be like if it's hold up. All right, I'm running out of time. If it's like the unwritten rule, people are like, all right, behind the scenes, people usually want people from their own neighborhood. Behind the scenes, people usually want people from their own neighborhood. Behind the scenes, people usually want people from their own neighborhood, their own hood, blah blah blah, whatever, Bloods, Crips, all that. The United States describing the tendency of U.S. senators. So yeah, people usually want their own hood, neighborhood people, neighborhood people, neighborhood people. to support a Senate colleague in opposing